Today, I'm going to talk to you guys about the mindset shift that has to occur in order for you to go from just a basic regular trainer to a brand owner. The truth is, in order to elevate your brand, in order to elevate who you are, and in order to get to the goals that you're looking to get, as long as they're bigger than just sitting in a gym all day and training your one-on-one clients, you have to shift your mindset in several different facets in order to really be able to harness the power of business ownership and brand awareness. The first thing you have to do is start thinking like a business owner. Think about positioning, think about your vision, and think about long-term growth over just sessions and clients. Your goal should always be to scale, and that's going to be something that we're going to talk about in the next point more in depth. But the foundation of scaling is always having a really good idea of what my goal is. I need to know where my future is, where my benchmark is, in order to be able to create the intermediate goals that I need to hit in order to get to that goal. The first thing you have to do is define what your brand stands for and who it's for. Too many people make the mistake of thinking that casting a big wide net is the best thing you can do. But the reality of it is you're sending a mixed message. And nowadays, in a world where everybody can get anything they want, what people really desire and what people really look for is exclusivity. They want to feel that whatever they are doing is unique. And if you're saying this is for everybody, well, then they're not going to feel that, are they? And the second part of that is giving your brand life. You're giving your brand life by saying, we stand for these values, these principles, these virtues. And people can align themselves personally to your brand based on an alignment with those principles and those values and those virtues. So you create a stronger connection between you and your customer, you and your clients, you and your future demographic by doing this. Doing this also forces you to start thinking about and making decisions based on your long-term vision as opposed to just short-term convenience. The problem that happens when people don't have a set vision and a set mission and they don't communicate that with people, they start grabbing at every opportunity that comes towards them. And the reality of it is some of those opportunities may not really align with the brand that well. And so people start getting confused. What does this person stand for? What am I aligning myself with? See, for me, Sabatini Fitness is more than just a training company. When I talk about my company, I talk about a raised standard. And so the foundation of what I do is fitness, but a raised standard means a raised standard in every facet of life. I call people to my brand who are ambitious, who seek improvement, who desire more from life, and who don't make excuses for their shortcomings. And they say, my future is in my hands. That's the brand that I'm creating. And that's what you have to figure out how to build in your brand. So to sum all that up, you really have to focus on your brand positioning more than anything, marketing, and then audience growth, all of which is aligned with your long-term vision, not just coaching hours. Now, the next thing is that there has to be a shift away from trading your time for money towards building systems and scale. Now, this goes far beyond just being a personal trainer. For every brand, you have to think, again, long-term and scale. How do I grow this business outside of just my physical personal presence? As a trainer, if you're primarily doing or only doing just in-person sessions, you're always going to be limited and confined to time. The truth is, you can only work so many hours in a day. The only variable you have to manage in that situation is how much you're charging per session, which, I mean, trust me, people are going to pay a lot of times however much they need to pay in order to get training. So that's not so much an issue. But what happens when you get sick? What happens when you go on vacation? You're not getting paid. So it doesn't really matter. Not to mention, you probably don't want to be working 8 hours a day. So as soon as you start cutting your hours down, you're losing money. The goal of being a personal trainer and scaling, the same thing with any business or any industry, is being able to multiply yourself. There's a line from where you are now to where you want to be at scale. And with the help of your vision and your positioning that you've been working on from the first point, you can create a straight line to that goal. Let me give you an example. Most trainers start training clients one-on-one in person, okay? The next step from that would probably be something like group classes or boutique style classes where you're training more than one person at a time. That allows you to multiply the amount of cash that you're making without necessarily having to up your pricing, but you're still very limited to how physically present you can be. When we look at fully scaled training businesses, we can start thinking about things like online training. We can start thinking about gym ownership and something that's kind of in line with that. Maybe you're not owning a physical location, but maybe you decide you want to hire some trainers to work under you. Now, with all of those three things, you don't necessarily have to be physically present in those businesses. Me, Christian in Texas, I can create a training program and Mary in New York can buy it. So can Jerry in Minnesota and Brad in California. And that pays me without having to necessarily physically be there. And guess what? I wake up in the morning and I have a check in my mailbox because they were watching my videos and somebody subscribed while I was sleeping, and I get paid for doing that. I don't have to work more for that money. And that's what scale is. The same thing applies to maybe being a gym owner. I don't necessarily have to be in the gym 24/7 in order to get paid. I don't get paid hourly in terms of how many clients I'm training. I can hire, I don't know, a fleet of 20 trainers, and I have thousands of clients in my franchise gym. And as a result, I'm getting paid consistently recurring revenue, and I'm making money even when I'm sleeping because technically the 20 trainers that I hired are working on my behalf. And the same thing kind of applies without having a brick and mortar gym with hiring other trainers to work up underneath you. So whatever your goal is as a trainer, you have to always understand, where is it that I'm trying to scale towards? How can I align my brand positioning and marketing and vision to align with that? And then what are the steps that I have to create in order to get to that spot? The last thing and the most important thing about being a business owner and shifting away from the perspective of just a trainer or just anybody who's doing any job is taking responsibility. There's a great book by Jocko Willink called Extreme Ownership, and it talks all about this idea, but it's completely true. At the end of the day, when you're running your own business, there's nobody to point the finger towards but you. You're the one who's responsible for making sure that your clients are held to a certain standard. And you really do that more so by creating that example. You cannot be showing up late to sessions. You cannot be cutting corners in your own training or in the training of your clients saying, okay, well, yeah, it's fine. Just take the set off. The only way that a standard is maintained is by creating a culture that aligns with that standard and does not deviate from that standard. And also, there's nobody at fault but you for the way that your business is performing. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe that you are exactly where you're supposed to be. And the truth of it is, you are. If you're going to take credit for all of the good things that happen to you, you also have to take the credit and accountability for all of the bad things that happen to you. The biggest thing that holds small business owners back and new entrepreneurs and even bigger entrepreneurs is delusion. A lot of times we can be telling ourselves a lie, hoping, wishing that it was true, instead of just facing the fact that it's not. Instead of facing the fact that we're coming up short and that we have to do certain things in order to get there. Facing those problems head on is what's going to help you elevate your brand and transition from just being somebody who's bare minimum training to somebody who's going to actually scale a brand beyond their physical presence. I hope you guys enjoyed that video and found it useful. If you guys liked it, go ahead and leave a thumbs up and go ahead and subscribe because we have a ton more content coming out that you guys will really enjoy. I'll see you guys on the next one.